former psych warfare officer, I understand how that works. But you can only go so far with the image, and you sometimes have to create things that are even more tangible, things you can feel as well as see. Painting is deception. When you create an image like that, it's a trick of painting light and shadow to create an image that looks like something on a completely flat surface, looks like three-dimensional, but it doesn't really have three dimensions. So there's a certain level of deception there, which would be completely appropriate for satanic art. But in wanting to be able to make bigger changes, it might be necessary to create something that not only has physical presence, but is aligned to science, art, and the practice of black magic. And that would be a device that used aspects of the sacred cut, which is the phi ratio, which is found in all the world's great magical monuments, from the Great Pyramid in Cheops to the Parthenon in Greece, as well as what Mr. Freeman would have called machines of the Goatu, or
I don't actually know what a Goatu is.
But they all use the sacred cuts, and their masonry is the primary force behind the delivery of these angles and shapes down through history. They were the keepers of that. So when you talk about like how successful I might have been with this is still to be measured, because my biggest experiment is in the area of aesthetic terrorism, which is the creation of devices that create physical change as well as just through actual change in the resonancy of the world, as opposed to just looking at them and then making people think things. So I briefly touched on the idea of this machine, and it uses metonymics, which in its design, which are shapes that look like what they're supposed to do. So they are the equivalent, the physical equivalent of the onomatopoeia, the words that sound like what they're supposed to do. And it uses Reichian organic mist and Tesla technology as well.
And this is your Ragnarok etching?
Yes.
Yes.
I've really loved your presentation so far, more than anything else I've seen.
Well, thank you. That's me.
But this ring and ball configuration is huge. It weighs like 2 tons. It's 12 inches. Yeah, it moves, and it has a variable speed rate. It actually can change the speed. And the ball and the ring are made out of T1, which is a hardened, quenched steel. It's not like normal steel. It's a structural steel that's just below tool steel, but it's still harder than other material you'll find. These sigils are wrapped all the way around the inside of the ring, or on the outside of the ring on both sides. The side of it has, when I was talking about metonymics, which are shapes that look like what they're supposed to do, it has these rods which extend out at the apexes, north, south, east, and west, which are shaped like the rune of fate in the runes of Futhar. They look kind of like a trident. And so these arms can be positioned so that they will point at specific sigils on the ring, so that when you turn it, they will actually be concentrating their force at that particular apex of vibration. So they'll be pointing at these various areas. And mass in motion creates energy. Basic principle, law of physics. Well, that gets amplified, as it moves and turns. And on the outside of the ball, besides the 4 arms, is a set of spikes, which are like discharge spikes, where excess energy runs off of them. And all of that is configured to certain numbers and numerology and shape of the...
we're out. Yeah, see you later.
We're informal.
We're informal. Okay.
Yeah.
The shape of the trapezoid itself is all uses the phi ratio, which is against the sacred cut, and the Masons were all about the use of the square and the compass and the caliper. Well, ancient magicians and artists used these tools to create everything. But again, the function of art in the ancient world wasn't just beautifying buildings, it was psychic warfare.
Emitting vibration.
So things had to be made a specific way. So when people talk about a free-for-all within magic, it's like anything goes, like no, there are certain formulas.
Right.
And they're mathematical, and they're provable. We can look at them and we can weigh them against other things, and we can replicate them again and again. So that type of magic is very, very specific, and it has nothing in common with this kind of like, well, we can do whatever we want, we can add this, we can add a little of that.
Right.
And I'm very, very specific. Unlike surrealism, in my paintings, which they kind of just come to me and the work is manifest through whatever entity might be there at the time, is kind of presenting themselves through me as a medium to paint them. And the symbols are open to interpretation. People say, oh, I see a face here, I see this little thing here, or this symbol here seems to represent this certain idea, or did you ever think that maybe this reminds you of this idea? So the machine, on the other hand, is very, very specific. There's no room left for personal interpretation. It's very specific.
A specific frequency, too. That's what I
And it can be tuned to one magician or a group of magicians. One magician to be able to tie in what is being done with it, and nobody else would be able to activate it.
What?
We all have our purpose.
Right. What is the device's purpose? What is the purpose?
It can be used for several different things, but at this point, my overall plan is that it's a device for vengeance, a balancing factor in the world. There needs to be something like, I mean, a portal like this could open up. Well, we've all heard the stories about, you know, at the end, there would be the howl that would signify the coming of the old ones.
So could our government be building geomantic or earth magic architecture into government structures to open portals for old ones, for demons to enter? Could be. I thought I better talk to one more person. And this is Paul Laffoley, and he is he was an architect for the Twin Towers until he was fired from that job for suggesting there be passageways between the two towers. You see, it seems they needed their symbol to be there of the Twin Towers. Now, Paul is an artist of extraordinary talent, and he has to be 100 or 200 years ahead of his time. He's a conceptual artist that designs time machines, and, well, we'll have him on the show to talk about it. But as I sat and chatted with him with my friend Ai Kapur, I brought him along as my magician's guide. We talked to Paul Laffoley about a garden that he was constructing with Kabbalistic intent and how this functions inside of geomancy or earth magic. Paul's a very creative character and was a very interesting person.
The one that I like is the Earth and those 64 PowerPoints where you have the pyramids as point one. You know, and it's an icosahedral, pentagonal, dodecahedron system. Only now it's starting to become, parts of six-pointed stars and five-pointed stars. So you have more PowerPoints and more ley lines, because it started out as simply a tetrahedron, and then it got more complex. And so when it finally gets so refined,
kind of beyond a bug minister.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. No, the world will blow up. You know, when you get to that point.
So the idea of geomancy, notice here, this is the Bicentennial Mall out in front of Nashville. And what it has is a seal of Solomon, reconstructed as a garden. You'll see it just identical as this ancient seal of Solomon. And Solomon was known as one of the main magicians who built temples to Ashereth, the goddess, the vile goddess of the Sidonians, and for Shamash, who is equated with a sun god, or the vile god of Moab, and there's that Moab again, or Moloch, the